ahead and take it.
Just take it in.
I have to go through this.
So let's
get to the end. You see light.
It is.
And at happiness street life, you don't need lots of money or nice things to be rich, because happiness is most often found in the small things that will help you get through that. Be grateful for what you have.
Well, and and to that,
be grateful for that dark channel that you're in.
Here, my dog is coming up to say hi. Good morning, guys. This is Greg
and Jenny once again.
Have
a great morning.
It is. It's a good morning. Oh, we got coffee, and we're back for
coffee.
We are. We're back for another episode of God, Finances, and Intimacy.
Today we're just gonna have conversation.
Yep. Today,
we're gonna share some story about us. Yeah.
Is that what we're gonna do?
We're going to share today, guys. I'll listen.
Well,
or maybe I'll share something. Yeah.
Well, some of the stuff that I've been going over and thinking about, and in conversations with some of my past clients, and some of my friends here lately, and doing a lot of reading. I do a lot of reading, and getting a temperature of where the nation and really where the economy is.
Yeah.
And over the last 4 years, there's been a change. And here's what I want to talk about. People are struggling. They've lost a job. The income's gone down. Businesses have been forced to close. Some folks have been forced to stay home. They've been worried about COVID. All the things, and that's really been putting people in a state of confusion, more depression than anything else. And that depression, can end up in a dark tunnel, and that can put you through that tunnel. And I remember going through a water slide. This is kind of what I pictured last night when I was thinking about this. There's some big water slides that I went to at a water park here in Michigan. And I remember getting into that, and there was a lot of light. I had control. I was in line. I was talking. I was having a lot of fun.
We're talking about the Michigan tunnel.
Yep.
Oh my goodness! I would never go back there.
Well, and and we're in full control outside of that tunnel. And then I got in that tunnel, and whether I was with somebody or not, I lost control. It was dark. I couldn't see where I was going. I was flopping all around. I was trying to hold on.
You can't control.
At times you're desperate to not fall off the tube.
You just let it be.
And you just end up going with it. And then finally,
you just need to let it be.
I knew that when I got into that tunnel that it was going to be dark, but I also knew that there was light at the end of the tunnel. So I went into that with the expectation of, man, I know this is dark. This is going to be spooky. It's not going to be comfortable. I'm not going to have control. But I knew that there was light at the end of the tunnel. So
we do not fight. Okay, just let it be.
And
not fight, because that's a process. That's part of the process.
She must have been listening to me at 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's exactly what it is. Is when we went through that tunnel, and Jenny and I were on that too. But when we, and we went through it a couple times just as a ride. But I noticed
that was my first time.
That when we fought through,
I almost died.
That tunnel, and we didn't understand the process, and we argued with it. It was harder to get through that tunnel. It really was.
What you're doing is, if you're fighting during those times in your dark days, if you're fighting, you will just prolong the process. So just take it and work with it. Take it. Just take it. Bring it, Lord.
Bring it
as
on.
You said.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Bring it on, Lord.
Just bring it on, Lord. So
because if you try to stop it, then your process will be shortened. I know your process is gonna be longer.
It will. It's definitely more uncomfortable too.
Because all of us has to go through that, so we must face it.
So you're saying, let's talk about this. I remember there was a time to where, I was talking to one of my clients here over the years, and I've been coaching them and kind of mentoring them through different things on marriage and finance and business. And every time he would come to me, it seemed to me that he would only show up when he was in the dark tunnel. When he got out of the tunnel, he didn't know how he got out. It just finally got out. And maybe he was still in kind of a more lit tunnel, but he had found the light. And when he was out of that tunnel, everything was fine. He didn't understand why he got out, so he didn't understand how to stay out of that tunnel. And then when he got back into that tunnel, that dark tunnel, then we get the phone calls, and then, hey, help, I don't know, what I'm doing. I don't know how to get out of this. Why does my life stink? Horrible, so on and so forth. Feeling bad for yourself. So, some of the things that I want to talk about here is, when you're in that dark tunnel, first understand this. The biggest thing that happens with people, and I got some, a couple notes here, that I want to put up, is the energy that you have when you enter that dark tunnel. Think about that. When you enter that dark tunnel and you've seen it coming, generally we all see it coming when we know that dark tunnel in our life is getting ready to happen. And the energy that we've been bringing into that because of an event, I remember a few years ago I went through a divorce. I went through closing my company, trying to keep custody of my kids. I went through a loss of a major organization I was a part of, and all these different things. So that I was blaming the world. Oh, woe is me! It's everybody else's fault. My marriage stunk because it was everybody else's fault. And my business, I'm closing it because it's everybody else's fault. Oh, this organization that
all we do is complain.
Oh, they're picking on me and all it's their fault. And I took that energy with them into that tunnel with me, knowing I was blaming.
And you're making it so difficult.
I was. Yeah, if you look at the water in that tunnel, there was parts of that tunnel in the water ride where it was smooth. Where if you just rode the ride and you understand it's part of the process, that you could go. But when you start fighting that, then there's waves and you're pulling and you almost tip over. Maybe you fall off and have to try and get. You ever try and get back on an inner tube going down the slide in that tunnel?
That's nice.
I've done it a couple times, but usually you just end up going out, the tube's flying around over your head. And it's hitting.
Alex almost falls.
Yeah. You cause more problems fighting the process. So understand.
That's a good illustration.
It is that energy that you carried coming to that event. Now, these things in your life that you have to understand that you were a part of making this happen. You may not have been part of all of it, and that's what you need to understand. Is that when you get into that tunnel, is to take a breath. And what energy are you in? Now that I'm here, am I in a fighting mode, a fight or flight, or am I going to just understand that there's a process, and I'm gonna figure out how to make this journey successful and what I can learn from that. And I remember parts of that tunnel. I figured out that if I wanted to go through it quicker, I could just lean back and I could pull the tube up and I could lift higher and I could shoot right down and it would just kind of go with it. Other parts I could just sit and ride it at times and just go. But man, if I try to control it and turn around and try and do jumps up, man, it's just a rough ride. And
you become stressed.
You become stressed. It hurts your roll. Sometimes I've hit my head on the top of the slide, or even if I've been with other people in that tunnel, I've caused problems, not to myself, but those people in that tunnel as well.
Because we're focusing on that negativity, so it's not helping me.
Well, you're trying to get out of it so fast when really it's the process and the determination.
You became discouraged after
that. Yeah, you do. I remember.
We've experienced that for 2 years.
We did.
Yeah, we've been just fighting mode.
Well, yeah, you get in that fight.
Fighting mode.
We were in that fight mode. Bring it on. And again, it was the type of energy that we decided to have. And even as I was working with the clients that I've had over the years, when they've been in that dark tunnel, and we've sat down and we've talked about it, and they've identified. See, here's the difference with being. The important thing is, as we coach people or mentor people, we're really just building people to become leaders. And as I sitting down with with folks over the years and talking with them, just not getting them to come to me because I'm this big leader. It's creating value that they see that I can help them understand how to bring clarity and how to help change their energy. There's nothing we really do. We just listen to them and help them kind of move their energy in such a place that they understand how they can help themselves, how we can build people, and how then they can become leaders by just changing that energy. And as I was working with one couple still today, we've been working with them for a long time. When they change their energy in that dark tunnel and they both start working together on that inner tube, they get down that tube very quickly.
Oh yeah, they have to work together.
They really do. Yes. And it's the determination.
Yes.
How determined was I and Jenny to get through that tunnel? Were we going to fight the tunnel? Were we going to trust the process? Which were we going to do? And how determined? And what were we determined on? Were we determined just to fight the process and to say, I'm right, this is the only way to do it, and the heck with everybody else, and worry about what everybody else thinks? Or did we look up at God and go, you know what?
You can't do it alone.
No, that's the biggest thing. I was on a phone call here a couple days ago, and I talked I talked for about 2 hours, and the one thing that this gentleman and I were talking about is, as he said, Greg, you can't force anything. You've got to understand that the energy that you bring is going to be the energy that's given. And your determination, that could be a bad determination. Are you determined just to get through the tunnel, or are you determined to learn in the tunnel? And if you take that time that you're determined that I'm in the tunnel, I'm in the dark tunnel, I know that when I get in this dark tunnel and I'm here now, understand that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I knew when I got in that pool and that slide that I knew I'm looking at it. and and I'm looking down now. Now we can't look at that tunnel ahead of us and see what's going to go happen all the time. But that water slide, I knew I could see that tunnel, and I knew that the ups and downs. I couldn't see all of them because you can see on the outside of what you think it looks like. But once you get in that tunnel of yours, it's not what you thought it was.
You
It
get
is not what
panic
you thought it
and
was.
you tend to not focus on when you're in there.
Yeah.
It's like you get like you
Well-
can't think well when you're scared. Yes, I've experienced that.
Well, and-
So
yeah.
one of the tips that we have during that time, you have to stay connected. Surround yourself with people whom you admire and enjoy being near. They can help you out of there while you're going through that process. You have to be around these people. It will help. Remember, we have those people around us during dark days.
Well, and
We have people, not a lot, but we have.
what you can hear, while you're in that dark tunnel, you can. There's voices there that are helping you. There are people in your life
You can
that are there.
never do it by yourself.
No.
Don't do it.
No, you can't. It's interesting when people say, I'm in the tunnel and I'm going to do it by myself, and then they go into this whole other thing, and they make that tunnel longer. And they go, oh gosh, I'm in this crisis. I'm in this midlife crisis. I'm in all these things. No, you're not. That whole thing on being in the dark tunnel or being in a midlife crisis. That's a whole. As far as men go, and I would say even women, that while you're in that dark tunnel, there's no midlife crisis going on. There's no There's an event happening in your life. And it's something that we've caused. We've caused it ourselves. So, and now it's just being accountable and just facing it and doubling down.
Find a solution. Once you have that support through that family, friends, you will start feeling that a positive future is possible. So take steps to help solve your problems and that you are experiencing.
Well, and two,
Make plans.
that goes with exactly what you're talking about. When you're in that dark tunnel, if Jenny talked about that association is so important. That is so important. You can't do this alone.
No.
You're not going to get through that dark tunnel by yourself.
What a way
That
you
tunnel-
cry to be around this.
Yeah, you're not going to do it alone. Whether you're leading people or following people, you're not going to do it alone. And being guided. See, here's the other thing. There's two things happening. When you're in that dark tunnel, there's people that have the skill set to be able to get through it, but they don't have the confidence. So there's people that have that skill set and they don't have the confidence. So now what do? They need to be guided by somebody to help instill confidence and to help throw that confidence.
For the people that can help you.
Yep. But then it goes. But then it goes the other way too.
Yes.
This is the part that people forget. There's people that have confidence that I can get through this tunnel, but they don't have the skill set to know how. And and that's where a lot of people get upset, frustrated. They get depressed. Depression is really right now it's one of the leading causes out in the United States of loss of income, loss of marriage, deaths, loss of relationship. It's not a midlife crisis. These are things that are happening all the time. And I was reading last night a little bit on what's causing some of these dark tunnels in people's lives. Well, in men generally, but in I would say to the extent of women too. But Jenny can talk about that. That there's fear, there's embarrassment. There's lack of self-confidence. There's some things that take into that. I mean, imagine the responsibility that's put on men, and with being entrepreneurs, with being a father, with being a business owner, with going to work, with being a husband, and all the things that happen. When we hit that dark tunnel, we're fighting with embarrassments, things that we've done in our life, fear, not trusting the environment. Just lack of self-confidence, and that energy, we take that into the tunnel with it, and it's not a midlife crisis, guys. That I've always argued with that the midlife crisis concept is kind of it's out there, and I don't mean to. I mean, that was kind of harsh, but I mean, I understand. I've been doing this for a long time. Between 45 and 55, people die. What that generally means is they mentally and they emotionally just quit, and that's what people reference as a midlife crisis. Oh, I'm 50 and I went out and bought a red Corvette. Or I'm 50 and I went and bought 7 Louis Vuitton purses. Or I went and had a face lift. And they're doing things to make themselves feel better because they get through life and they're in that dark tunnel and they reach that age and go, oh, the world says that it's a midlife crisis. So that's what I must be in. You've been in that for a long time.
So give us some tips how to get through that.
Well, here's some of the biggest tips. The one thing that that you can look at is you've talked about it, and we're going to continue on. And we've talked about the energy. While you're in that dark tunnel, or before you get there, but while you're in it, change your energy. You can't. While you're in that tube and the tube's flopping you around and the water's flowing and you can't see, maybe you hit your head in the slide because you're fighting the process. Trust the process.
Change your energy.
Change your energy. Slow down. And then your determination. Are you determined to prove everybody that I can get through this and the heck on you and all the crap I'm going through? I'm determined just to prove you wrong. Or are you determined to learn in the dark tunnel, to learn in the process and to get through it? So when you get to the light, you've changed. Now you've been carved into a different person. Your soul is there, and it's trying to activate a lot of things. That dark tunnel is there for a purpose. Whatever you want to call it, crisis, midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it, those things, it's not a midlife. They're happening all the time.
You have to go through that.
You started that crisis a long time ago. Those habits started a long time ago. It's just finally 45 to 55 because of what the world tells you. Oh, between 45 and 55, most people die, and what that means, they give up their dreams and hopes. And the job I have, I'm going to have, marriage I have, I'm going to have.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're trying to avoid these things, God will give you more until you realize that I'm talking to you. He's listening, face it.
Well, there's parts of that tunnel where the water gets stronger.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
just
active.
go ahead and take it.
Just take it in.
I have to go through this.
So let's
get to the end. You see light.
It is.
And add happiness to your life. You don't need lots of money or nice things to be rich, because happiness is most often found in the small things that will help you get through that. Be grateful for what you have.
Well, and to that,
Be grateful for that dark channel that you're in.
Here my dog is coming up to say hi to me. We're going to let our dog be online today.
And then allow yourself to smile at little things that makes you happy. It will help.
Well, and in lieu of that, going through that dark tunnel, people go into that for many reasons. Some of it is they're comparing themselves to the world.
Yeah.
They're worried about that fear, that embarrassment that I didn't make a lot of money.
That's why
I didn't do a lot of things.
Problem right now.
And I went ahead and one of the things that one of the folks was talking to me about yesterday, or just a couple days ago, was I was getting ready to get on this call with this gentleman, and I told my wife, and I said, I'm not sure why I'm going to get on this call, because all these guys on here, they're all making 7 figures. And guys, I don't make 7 figures. I'm growing. And my wife reminded me on some things, but I got in the call and I was talking to the guy about it. And he said, Greg, the most powerful man in a room, or woman, is not the man with all the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's the man or woman that can walk into a room and be, to be confident in the tunnel they've been through, to be vulnerable, and to be able to be proud of what they've been through, and to be able to share those stories with people, and to carry that with strength, to carry that with being proud, not arrogant, but you're proud of what you went through, and you don't have any embarrassment for doing that. And so as you're in that dark tunnel, what's some of the things? We've talked about the type of energy that took you into that. We talk about the type of determination that took you into that. We talk about what guided you into that dark tunnel, and how are you going to execute. So again, you can reverse those things while you're in the dark tunnel. You're going to need to change that energy.
Start a new life.
Start a new energy while you're in that tunnel. Stop fighting it. Just get in there and just trust the process.
And there's another tips. You have to make plans for the life that you want to have. Imagine yourself several years from now. Who do you see in your life? What kind of a house you have? What car? See, that makes you keep going during those times.
So during that time, change your mindset.
Yeah, what kind of a job you're gonna have now that you have the future image of yourself? Take steps to make it reality.
Right. Well, and that's true. And so while you're in it, something just came to me is with energy that change your energy while you're in the tunnel. What your determination is, and I was thinking about this now. Are you determined to beat the dark tunnel and fight it, or are you determined that you're going to get through it and you're going to learn a lot and you're going to get to that light? Being guided. Make sure that as Jenny talked about, you're not going to do this alone.
No.
Jenny and I are starting a coaching program. I kind of hesitate to say that, but it's a coaching program. But really, we're people builders. We like to help build people into leaders. That's really what we do.
You know why? Because we've been through all that.
We've been through all
that. I feel like we have to share this to people to learn from it.
Well, I've spoke to hundreds and thousands of people over the years. I've worked with, on stage, large colleges.
He's been in the coaching world before I meet him.
All that stuff for a long time. And what I understand that.
And I learned from you a lot.
Yeah, I'm still learning. She teaches me a lot. So make sure when you're guided, you find someone that's going to guide you.
Yes.
Coaching you is fine, but to build you as a person, that's really what we do. We're people builders.
Yeah, but if you're talking to someone that is the same problem as you do, like depressed, it's not going to help you.
Well, it was, on the phone call that I was on, the gentleman asked me, he goes, so why do you think that we're on this call? What is it you want me to do? And I said, well, I told him what my intent was, and I said, I want to change my life and take it to a higher level and double down. He said, well, if you're on the call for me to be a coach, he goes, and we may as well just stop the call right now. And I understood what he was saying. He said, now if you're on here to help us build you up, to build you as a person and identify why you're in this tunnel right now and how to get out of it, and the 4 areas that we'll talk about later that need to be improved on. He said, we build people. into leaders. We don't coach people. Now, there's a lot of coaching and building through that process.
Yeah.
But I knew exactly instantly what he meant, because that was the mentality I had years ago. And Dexter Yeager was a huge mentor of mine, that we build people into leaders. And that's what God really has intended. Jesus, he put everything inside of us, and God is really, we're co-creating with God. He's observing us now, and he's giving us all the tools to build people so he can build it, so we can be built into
now
leaders.
that's up to you to use it.
And it's not coaching.
Yeah.
The Bible doesn't talk about, hey, we're going to coach you into it, but I don't even think the word coaching is in there at all.
It's already in us.
We're building it. We're being built into the leaders that we already are.
Yeah. You just need some people to remind you.
Well, and again, that's where it comes to being guided. Find the people in your area, in your mindset. If you're stuck in an area in that tunnel, and you can look over at the guy in the tunnel next to you and go, hey, can you help me get out of the tunnel? That's not the guy you want to talk to, because he's in the tunnel too. Find the people that have already been through the tunnel and that are out of it. I guarantee you, all of us
know what they're doing.
Have already been through that tunnel.
They know how to get out of there.
Well, you remember there was a tunnel Jay and I went to? Well, she didn't go into. There was a big water slide that I could see that it went out, and then it just went straight down. And I thought, okay, I'm prepared for this down. But I wasn't. I didn't know it was coming. So all of a sudden, I'm laying just on my back. There's no inner tube, and I go, and it's completely dark, and I'm preparing myself for this, and all of a sudden, it just goes straight down, and I'm in complete panic. Going, what do I do?
Scary.
And that being guided through that, I just trusted the process. And
that nothing's gonna happen.
That nothing was gonna happen. So while I was in there,
there is fear.
Well, there is.
But at the same time, you have to trust that you're gonna be okay at the end of the tunnel.
Well, and how I executed myself in that tunnel, the plan that I executed, and how I trusted the process. I thought, well, I'm gonna trust the slide. I'm gonna trust the water's going in the right direction. I put, just like I put myself in that tunnel at the top of the line, I put myself in my own dark tunnel. So, that's where I come back to go. It's, there's not everything that came to me that put me in that tunnel with fear, embarrassment, lack of confidence. I didn't know how to execute. I had the skill set, didn't have the confidence. At times, I had the confidence, didn't have the skill set. You have to have both of those at the same time. And Jenny talked about the association. The association that you have, once before that dark tunnel, that's really important. So when you get into that dark tunnel, you've been associated with the right people that you can reach out to, that they're involved in your life, and they can help you get through that tunnel, and you can act accordingly.
God sent the right people to help you, so you just have to be aware. Don't push them away, because they're there to help you.
Well, that's true.
And start a new life that will help you get out from rock bottom. Start making improvements, quit bad habits. Taking care of your body and mind will make it easier to start fresh again. And another one is stay weak, finish school, determine exactly who you want to be.
See, now that's really good when you bring up association. And the one thing that I know that really became important to me was during that association, while you're in that tunnel, and this is kind of where I look at that midlife crisis. Now, I tell you what, I've been through some Jenny asked me the other day, I'm just going to be honest with you, I've been through some shit. I really have. I've been through some stuff. And, I understood that I caused that stuff to get into that. So to blame myself and go, I'm in this midlife crisis, I put myself in a mode of crisis, and I was in that crisis. All of us go through it. Maybe we should say young life crisis, midlife crisis, old life crisis, or maybe we should say this is a life crisis. What we're doing is not to say we only go through crisis. Doesn't mean that that's a crisis. And don't bring that to the point to where, hey, this is my midlife crisis, because you had a childhood crisis, you had a teenage crisis, you had that shit happens all the time. And if you understand the energy, it's a process.
Yes.
So don't categorize that.
Just remember that word. It's a process. When you are in a hard time or struggling, say this is just a process. I'll be okay after.
Well, and I'm getting off track, but I want to get the last three here. So that association Jenny talked about is important. That accountability. Now that's another one. Be accountable. You're in that crisis, that dark tunnel, whatever you want to call it as. You're in that because of what you did. So be accountable for all of those things. Just understand that this is my fault. I put myself in this crisis. I need to be aware of that. And if I've been guided through that, and if I'm not guided, take time to get some help. get some guidance, and sit back and
That's
look
where you find coaches.
It is. Well,
Therapies.
I'm going to sit with men, and I'm going to talk to men specifically, and I'm going to let them know, hey, Jenny's pretty harsh on, and women as well. But when folks get into that accountability, I'm going to let them know you're in this tunnel because you did it. You put yourself here. Now, every event that happened, you can say, well, that wasn't my fault. Somewhere along the way, you put yourself in a situation that puts you in front of that situation that maybe you didn't have control of. But all of it is your fault. Be accountable. We went through some horrible stuff that we can talk about, from family loss to business loss, to public embarrassment, to many different things. We went through all those different things. And, I started blaming the world and took that victim mentality and understood all that. But here's what I know to be true. You got to be accountable while you're in that tunnel and understand that this is your fault. This is my fault. This is my fault. This is my fault. Okay.
Stop blaming.
Stop blaming everybody else. So be accountable. The last thing is to create an action plan. Create an action plan as to what's happening. Okay. So once you've gotten through that tunnel, or while you're in the tunnel, I was
start a new life.
I was in that tunnel, and Jenny and I actually started an action plan while we were in the tunnel.
You gotta have an action plan, because if not, you're gonna stay right there. You're not going to
open our timer's tunnels that we've talked about. But Jenny, here's what I want to do.
Determine exactly who you want to be.
How do you
start right there?
How do you understand?
How
do you think? Well, and this is true. How do you think that while we were in that dark tunnel, how did we, in that process, create an action plan? I mean, we had so much going on. How do you create an action plan while you're in the dark tunnel? Well, how do you do that? Can you just pause for a moment and trust the process and go, okay, I'm in process. I need to change some habits.
Yes.
I need to stop.
Start right there. While you are in there, you got to start making improvements for yourself.
So it's not after you get out of the dark tunnel, you just start an action.
Right there. Yes.
I mean, because I've watched so many people that are still in
Number one we did was we quit our bad habits.
We quit our
bad habits, like not getting up early. We used to get up like anytime, like 9 o'clock. Now we don't do that no more, guys. We
stopped hanging around certain people in our life.
Yes.
And we stopped reading certain things. We turn the TV off. There's a lot of stuff that we stopped putting ourselves in situations.
Yeah, you have to be willing to
get away.
Give up some stuff that you like that are not healthy, and change it to a good habit.
Well, and get away from that, getting away from that dark tunnel and staying out of that dark tunnel is going to require you to, whether people like it or not intentionally, some intentionally you will, you're going to end up changing your social group. I mean, there's been times where I've even gotten away from parts of my own family, certain friends in my life, certain situations in my life. Some of it was done accidentally just because I was changing my environment.
Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen though, because you want to improve yourself. You're doing it for yourself.
It is. So
that will take giving up some of your friends, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you don't have to talk to them anymore, but you're focusing on people that can help you improve yourself. So be around that people.
Well, and let's kind of wrap up today. The important thing for us today is as you're in that dark tunnel, understand this. And again, this is my take on it. This is I've talked to a lot of people around. I've been helping build people for a larger part of my life. We had to restart part of our life and start over again. Part of what we do is we're not afraid to be vulnerable and to tell you where we are and what we've been through.
We are not perfect.
And where we're going.
We are learning every day.
We are. And the programs that that we have put together, we're entering into a really we're taking our life to we're doubling down on our career, on our gifts, our talents, so we can become better, so we can help you guys.
And it becomes exciting.
It is. And as I look at this stuff,
stay excited while you're creating your goals.
Well, it is. And I'm going to run with these last ones, and then we can end this together. Is as you're in the dark tunnel, but before you get to the dark tunnel, as you're in the dark tunnel, and once you get out of the dark tunnel, understand the energy that you bring is going to determine what tunnel you go in or not go in, and how you get out of it. The determination you have. Are you determined just to prove the world wrong, or are you determined to get through the tunnel and learn something? What is your determination? What's your energy? Have you been guided? If you have a skill set and don't have that confidence, then understand that you need some help. If it's the other way around. See, that's the problem. Is so many people get this skill set and they're told, you're such a talented person, you're such a talented couple, you're such a talented group of people, and the people around you they don't have any confidence. and they're not helping you, or they don't recognize that you don't have confidence. So they're thinking your skill set alone is going to get you out of this tunnel. No, it's not. I could be the best golfer in the world, but not be confident that I can swing the club. I'm never going to hit the ball. So you got to have both skill set and confidence. Understand that
See how good he is, guys.
When you're guiding, make sure that you've got a guide. When you go down that slide, obviously it's going down to the bottom. But when you're in that tunnel in life, that dark tunnel can have many different paths. They can take you out. And when you get to that fork in the road, if you don't have a guide, do you want to put it all on black or all on red? What do you want to do? Or do you want to have a guide that's been through that same tunnel? And they can say, hey, listen, guys, this is the way you want to go to get out of that tunnel. Because once you're in it, you're going to have to keep going through it. You just can't pull yourself out of that slide.
No.
You can't just, I remember my son, we were at a big water slide. This thing was huge. And the fear of excitement in his eye was fun after he got done. I know halfway through, he wished he could have jumped off. But once you're in that tunnel, you're not getting off. And just don't
hold tight, guys.
Hold tight on it. Trust the process, and don't fall to the world. And if you're whatever, if you're 45, 50, 60, 25, 30, don't fall to the world and go, oh man, I'm having a midlife crisis. No, you're not. There's not a midlife crisis that's happening out there today. That's just what the world tells you is happening. Because 45 and 50, 55 years old, that's when folks all of a sudden give up on life. They've accepted my job is what I have, my marriage is what I have, my kids is what they are, my house is what I have, and they don't trust the process anymore. And they've decided to stay in that dark tunnel. They've decided that, I don't need to buy that jet. I can just fly in first class. That's okay. I'm just going to give up. I really wanted that Corvette, but I'm going to go out and buy a Fiero and put a bunch of fenders on it to make it look like a Corvette. So they give up. So when people talk about a midlife crisis, it's because people give up because they don't know what energy to have. They don't know what determination to bring. They don't have a guide to help them, and they don't know how to execute.
That's why you need.
That's what that is. It's not a midlife crisis. I've been through. I thought I was going through a midlife crisis. I'm 50 years old, and I only thought that because the world told me what. Greg, you're going through a midlife crisis. Oh, gosh, I must be going through a midlife crisis. Greg, what's your favorite food when you were 3?
Change your mindset.
People used to say, what was your favorite food at 3? Well, I used to like peaches. That was my favorite food. I didn't have a choice. I was told my favorite food was peaches. So just understand. And then, figure out after that, the association that you have around you is so key. It is so key. And be accountable. Men and women both. It's your fault. Be accountable for your situation, the environments that you've been put in. You may not be in charge of that whole environment, but you put yourself in there. So what's happening to you is your fault. Be accountable, look in the mirror and understand this is my fault. How do I get out of it? How do I get away from this? How can I be accountable?
Find solutions.
Stop blaming the world. And
make plans for your life.
It is. And finally, have an action plan. And if you don't know what the action plan, you can be in process in the dark tunnel and develop an action plan. I remember
start right there.
I remember going
Don't
through.
wait until
Don't wait till you get through it because you may not get through it.
Yeah, you might not. That's the thing.
There's people that there's a book out there called The Struggle Bus, and there's people that want to ride that struggle bus forever. Yeah. They love struggle. You can get them off the struggle bus, put them on the sidewalk with the non-struggling people, and they'll run to the next bus stop to get back on that struggle.
Yeah, bus. And just remember that those things that happen to you, God is calling you. He wants you to pay attention.
It is.
That's why you go through that.
Now, so today's been a good day.
Yeah. It's time to go.
It's time to go. But understand,
talk to
in the tunnel, you're going to learn. Believe it or not, in the tunnel, you're going to grow tremendously if you trust the process. You're going to learn what true happiness is. You're going to learn what true self-love is. You're going to learn what a true relationship is with yourself. You're going to learn what gratitude is.
Yes, it's
you're
a
going to
feeling.
learn how to be humble. You're going to learn what's important and what isn't. You're going to learn how to execute. You're going to learn what accountability is to yourself and others. And you're going to learn what association is and what the value is. All those things, be grateful for the process of going through that dark tunnel. Understand that don't get stuck in it and don't ask for help, because depression, that's really the most important thing. It's not the crisis event. That's happening all the time. And how you act on that is going to be important. The knowledge you have to do that. Depression is what the real issue is. And if you can understand these things, depression, you can get out of that. That's a huge part of the dark tunnel. And once you get out of that, there's so much more light and love out there.
Yeah, there's so one thing too is you need to learn to accept those.
Yeah.
So that you can speed up the process.
Well, and
you can speed up the process.
Look at
that's up to you.
You can, and I remember, just like the water slide, I was excited, I was afraid, and I was unsure when I entered that water slide. Every one of them, I always was, even still today. So when I know I'm entering this dark tunnel, change your mindset right away. because you'll get out of it quicker and you'll learn through it. I'm excited.
Yeah,
As odd as that sounds,
that feeling of fear.
I'm excited for change. I'm feared for the unknown.
Yeah.
But I'm going to trust the process so I can learn as I can execute what I'm going to do at the end of the day. So my desire for you today is that when you're in the dark tunnel, understand that you're not in a midlife crisis. Depression is the biggest thing that we're worrying about. You know, that those crises are happening all the time. But you can change that to where it doesn't happen at all. You can get off the struggle bus. You don't have to ride it. Stop listening to the world on, you know, if you're 40 to 50 years old or 55 and the world's telling you that you're in a midlife crisis, you're not. I've been in some horrible events that I'm thankful for now that weren't horrible. They were tremendous events.
At the time, we were blinded.
We were blinded. And the world told us all, well, you know, Greg and Jenny are going through midlife crisis. We weren't going through anything. We were going through the dark tunnel.
Yes.
And, you know, it's just that crisis is happening all the time. It doesn't have to. So, guys, my desire for you today, you know, is that as you're in that dark tunnel, understand that it's a process. Trust it. Be confident with it. And enjoy the ride. Reach out for help.
And happiness to your life, guys.
Jenny and I have material in place. We have a program in place that we can help you understand why you're in the dark tunnel, which is, we're not speaking to any group of people. You know, the program that we have is going to help you balance 4 things. And as we, you know, grow into a program that's helping us identify in that process, our desire is going to be able to help you get out of that tunnel. If you want to learn about the programs that we have, there's investment in yourself that you'll make into that, to be able to get, you know, different times and different stuff with us. But go ahead and reach out to us, personal message us, talk to us, let us know what's going on. You know, we'll talk with you, you know, and we'll do a 30-minute to an hour consultation for free so we can learn. And I'll be honest with you, if we can't help you, we can direct you to some partners of ours that can. If we can help you, then we will. But if the program isn't what you're looking for, we're also going to identify that as well and maybe try and point you to one that, well, we're not going to just, hey, come into a program just so we can get all this money. And our goal is to help you in the process, get you through that tunnel, get you out of it. So our desire for you today is that you continue to grow. You talk good about yourself. You love yourself. You understand to trust the process. And as always, Jenny, do you have anything else to say?
No.
Well, we're going to end it.
Off.
It's been a joy and
stay excited
and a pleasure today.
Positive, guys.
And I am going to lean forward like I always do. It's going to kind of be my signature mark until I get better technology. That achieving your goals at breakneck speed is something we do, we've done, and we continue to do. And we love you guys much. Hey, have a great day.